Welcome back to the Nerdrotic podcast. My name is Gary Buechler. I'm live in San Francisco, California, coming to you from nerdrotic.com. And down in Los Angeles, California, is my good friend and co-host, John Reed. John, hello.
How's it going, Gary?
It's going great.
Dennis
I'm having a great day. No, Dennis Bethelkis is out on assignment. Actually, he's moving. He hates to miss this. This is his favorite thing to do, is the live podcast. He wishes everybody well, but he just bought a house, so he's moving. And congratulations, Dennis. We miss you.
Yep.
But we had to podcast, so that's why we couldn't help you move.
Moving, painting, and texting about FOMO. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, FOMO. Fear of missing out. Oh, it's all about the FOMO. I'm a big FOMO.
Yeah.
Big FOMO.
I don't know. I don't think I get it. I think that might confuse people about me sometimes. Like, I feel like some of my acquaintances or people who don't know me that well might think that like I'm aloof or like don't want to hang out or whatever, because I really don't get FOMO. Like but I do want to like see my friends as much as I can. I don't know. I think that it's a confusing thing when people don't have it in this day and age.
Yeah, I still have it a little bit. That's probably why I still go to Comic-Con.
Yeah. I get it with Comic-Con. I definitely get it with Comic-Con.
Because I end up going down there now and just going, God damn, this is such a pain in the ass. Really, I mean, like walking the hall and stuff. And yeah, I was spoiled. So I was used to being an exhibitor there and doing all the behind the scenes and not having to wait in line. But now I'm just regular folk. And yeah. And every year I walk out of there going, that's my last Comic-Con. That's it. And then I buy tickets.
We should take a pilgrimage to C2E2 or NYCC one of these days and recapture maybe what Comic-Con was like 10 years ago.
Agreed. I am completely down for that. And
let us know in the chat what's your favorite con that's still like San Diego's awesome as a spectacle, but come on, you got to admit it's tough to actually do anything there. But like, let us know if there are some gems out there we should be showing up to.
Yeah, most definitely. And as with every podcast, we have to start out, unfortunately, with a death.
Hollywood death.
And yes, Donnelly Rhodes from Battlestar Galactica, Doc Cottle, passed away. And yeah, sorry to see. And he's been in a ton of stuff. And what was he just recently in Legends of Tomorrow?
Legends of Tomorrow, he was just recently in Agents. He's one of the agents. It's funny, like he did a good job of like, it seems like acting in smaller roles to like as he got older. He never stepped out. He always kind of showed up and he's a true pro, right?
Yeah, he was in some crime drama. I can't remember the name. That was on the Canadian version of BBC that used to air here in San Francisco on channel on Cron 4 like at midnight, and I got totally sucked into it. And the main character, again, I'm terrible with names, is the guy from Dead Zone, who was the serial killer from Dead Zone. And I love that show. And it was basically freaking Canadian CSI or whatever. But he was like always smoking in that show too. So the guy must have been like a smoker in real life, and he lived a freaking 82. Good for you. Yep. It was like my grandma. My grandma smoked filterless Lucky Strikes till the day she died at 90. So there you go.
The lucky ones, right? The lucky ones. So I wanted two things right off before we really dig in on the news. First of all, you might see if you're in the live chat right now, we have Super Chat active now. So if you want to support us, which is very helpful from you guys to keep this thing going. This is a hobby, but we do sink money into this thing, and it's tough sometimes. But we love to do it. But if you want to support us, just hit the Super Chat button. You can make a donation, ask a question, and like we'll get to that question and really dig into it. Super Chat is now active in our live chats. In addition, as we set up last year, and now we have the tiers all set up, please head over to patreon.com/nerdrotic. That's where you can find our Patreon. We're going to have exclusive content throughout the new year over there for all you guys, in addition to some kind of grab bag rewards for different tiers of pledging. If you don't know what Patreon is, it's a way for the patrons of our podcasts, our fans and our listeners and our viewers to go over there and pledge us monthly, kind of like Kickstarter monthly, right? Like giving us monthly donations to keep the costs of the website and, you know, all the artwork we pay for, all the stuff that we pay for out of our pockets, you know, help us replenish that a little bit to keep this thing going. So Patreon and Super Chat, help us out if you can.
Yeah. Thanks, John.
No
Yeah,
problem.
we got some fun stuff over there to check out. Yeah, we're going to start actually putting content out. And good news or bad news, if you don't like me very much, is I'm going to have the next couple weeks off. So our whole goal here is to put up content every day, 7 days a week. But we all have day jobs, so that's real tough. But I'm going to be taking a couple weeks off, so I'm going to give it a go. And yeah, so we're gonna have something every day for the next couple weeks, and we'll see how you like it. You know,
see more and hear more of us over the next few weeks.
Yes,
you know, fans will be happy. Those who do not like us, probably not so much. But screw them.
Yeah, and we are currently searching for a fourth host. So that's it's harder than you think because this, you know, I really great. I'm super grateful for John and Dennis because these guys show up for this thing all the time. And you know, through thick or thin, John was showing up like while planning a wedding. Dennis was showing up until tonight, but like through a move and traveling and stuff. So guys, thanks. You guys are great, man.
Well, no, we love doing it, man. And like you do the majority of the work. So if we can show up and just talk about stuff we love for a few hours every week, you know, come on, that's awesome.
What's up, Viking bitch? And Charles, hello. California's been going through. Yeah, we have. Yeah, we are okay. Yeah, we had an earthquake. We had an earthquake, and I actually felt it.
Earthquakes.
Mudslide, yeah, and the mudslides are that's south of us. That's terrible. And I have friends in Santa Barbara, and they are safe. But yeah. So I didn't mention it the last podcast. I woke up. The last two earthquakes we felt. I woke up like about a minute before. I usually, I'm old now, so I wake up in the middle of the night and I usually have like a little toast or something and have a glass of water and then I go back to bed. Yeah, I woke up and it was like 3 something in the morning. I can't even remember. And yeah, the house just started, it felt like an explosion. And yeah, so it felt like a landslide. It really didn't feel like a regular earthquake. Usually they're just kind of rolling. Dogs freaked out. Somebody across the street was screaming. I was like, come on, dude. It was only
wow.
Yeah, no, they were screaming like earthquake. And it's like right on. But yeah, and then the mudslides, that's crazy. And then Santa Barbara gets it bad. Remember the one 10 years ago, the one that killed a bunch of people. That was bad.
Yeah, and then down here, it was only like 2 days of intense rain down here, but like it caused some serious, like I was telling, I almost missed a podcast last week because the rain was coming down, or no, it was earlier this week, and the rain was coming down, and it smelled like somebody left the gas on for like a week outside. Like it smelled like a gas bomb went off outside, or like the gas line opened up. But I don't know. I guess it's just because like the rain poured down and like let loose all this stuff. And like, man, it was weird. Like I've never experienced that before. But no, we're all good. At least
we're all good. Yeah, none of my action figures fell over in the earthquake. I'm on bedrock here, so that's why I picked this house because it was on bedrock. And it's freaking old. The house I live in was built in 1910. So, which is, I guess, you know, it's old for California, but if any of you are in Europe or on the East Coast, you're like, whatever, 1910, that's a minute ago.
Mark, you're from Switzerland. In the chat, let us know. You guys don't have quakes, but you have all the like mountain regions. That's strange to have such like huge mountains without ever having earthquakes because of the way, you know, geology works. So I'd have to, that's interesting. That
you know, fjords. Do they have fjords? Fjords. I learned what fjords were from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Slarty Bartfast used to build fjords.
The new season of Critical Role started on Geek and Sundry yesterday, which is a Dungeons and Dragons game, and one of the new characters' names is Fjord, although he says Ford because he's got a southern accent.
He should be Fjord Prefect.
Yeah. That's what that was a joke.
That is, by the way, my favorite character in literature is Ford Prefect.
He's great.
Anybody who just can party all the time throughout the universe is my kind of guy. Yeah, we had droughts, quakes, but I mean, California is a big place. There's always some crap going down. But right now it's a clear night in San Francisco, which means you can see 12 stars. I counted.
And it smells so good. It smells like spring almost down here. It's really weird. But it's awesome. I love it.
spring here. Smells like
Did
San
you notice in
Francisco.
the last, like, I forget how many years, but like at some point it switched around where the air over LA is actually better than the air over San Francisco now because of the way the wind blows things different directions. But it's crazy. Like 20, 30 years ago, you would have never thought.
No, this is a different city from when I even moved in with all the tech bros around here and stuff.
Anyway, we got off track on
way off track. Let's talk about nerd stuff.
Yeah. Nerd stuff. Come on.
We got some nerd stuff that went down. A lot of it actually, and we'll start out with Fox shaking
with Disney screwing up everything. Was that what we're starting?
Yeah, Disney's gonna fuck it all up, man.
All because of Disney,
and it's already happening now. This is good news if you're a Deadpool fan. They moved Deadpool up a month.
Yeah.
Or 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks. And that is great. But it's 2 weeks after Infinity War and 2 weeks before Han Solo. My question
so
to you, John,
it up to not compete with Han Solo.
With Han Solo, which is, I think, that
telling
me, that's Disney, right? Because
yeah.
There's two ways you could take this. Like the deal's not going through and Fox is trying to F with Disney, or Disney, the deal is going through and Disney's like, no, we don't want Deadpool crushing Han Solo. Let's put it out before. What do you think?
No, I think it's, we don't, like, why have all of our new properties competing with like Fox is trying to take market share away from Disney up until Disney buys Fox. So now Disney's like, hey, let's clear the way for all of our projects. We don't want any of our projects going up against one another. So I totally see this. I mean, look, this is all speculation. This could have nothing to do with Disney and Fox. You know, it could just be a weird decision being made, like decisions being made at Fox separately from the whole deal. It doesn't seem like it though, right? It seems like a way to stagger so that big properties aren't going up against each other and they're not hurting themselves at the box office.
I wish they would stagger it more though. That's and they, well, I guess they kind of did that with putting New Mutants out to February and then Gambit, I guess that the next April, I can't remember, but and then Gore Verbinski left, and I thought he was actually, I think he's actually a good director for. I would love to see him have a crack at a superhero film.
What else has Gore Verbinski done?
Pirates, the Caribbean.
Oh, he's the Pirates guy, right?
Yeah, and he did Lone Ranger, and I can't remember the other movie he did, but I didn't,
But he's really
Lone Ranger.
I like visually what he does.
Yes.
And having like a Feige there would actually probably help him. I mean, he worked with Bruckheimer, who's basically like a Kevin Feige type, right? Like he produces big budget spectacles and does a lot of brand cohesion for networks and stuff. So they're kind of similar. So I guess we've seen that, but I like Feige's sensibilities with the execution of a Gore Verbinski would have been really great. What this tells me is that Gambit, actually, I'm going to let you say Gambit's part of the X-Men, and this whole idea of trying to make a solo movie is just not, it shouldn't be a thing. That's what this tells me.
No, by the way, Doug, live long and prosper. I see you in there, buddy. And Charles Toblerone is so good. And he said Mouse Hunt was the other one that Gore Verbinski did. Thank you, Charles. Yeah, Gambit, we were just talking about this in the pre-production meeting. Gambit is, if they fill it with a bunch of X-Men and just basically call it Gambit, but it's actually Gambit and the X-Men, I think it'd be all right. I like him as a character. A solo movie, I think it's a bit much. I think you should test him out. They should do what the Marvel movies are doing. You introduce a character a little bit in like Civil War, like Spider-Man. So you put Gambit in Dark Phoenix, whatever the hell they, or New Mutants or something, and you get people used to him. You get him used to the role. I think that's really good. And then you bring him in. So which they could be doing. I don't know.
Well, I mean, there hasn't even been a really great. So, okay, I'm probably gonna get anyway, but there hasn't even been a really great Gambit solo like ongoing story in the comics, or even like a great miniseries. Like the Wolverine and Gambit miniseries was really good, like you mentioned in our pre-production meeting, and like Gambit has worked really well alongside characters like Rogue and Wolverine. But he like the whole Thieves Guild idea that they always tend to run with, and I feel like is what they would probably concentrate on in a solo movie, is very like pedestrian storytelling. Like we've seen it before, right? Like it's nothing like this, like, so I feel like the character shines because of his relationships. And like you have this guy who's usually in it for himself and in it for the score, who actually cares about people. And so when you pull him, when you give him the like, hey, are you gonna side with your team or side with your with your pocket, with your pocketbook? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna be a mercenary, or are you going to make the call to like step in front of the bullet for your teammate? And so that's the Gambit storytelling. I think that's good. And I think that having a solo project kind of only puts him toward the mercenary side and out of the like heart side.
Yeah, I agree. And that story would have been a better place to tell that story would have been 5, 6, 7 years ago, before we've gotten deep into the MCU and deep in we're way past
First Class would have been a
yeah.
great place to bring him in. Like having
Yes.
Mystique and Gambit play off each other in First Class would have been cool.
Totally. I predict it's going to get canceled outright. I mean, it's lost its third director, and what you said in the pre-production meeting is the other reason that the New Mutants and Gambit got delayed, and they noticeably did not delay Dark Phoenix, which I was kind of hoping they would. What is because we're reassessing right now, and that gives them a whole entire year to rewrite, reshoot a movie. And do you want to make the New Mutants a horror movie that's basically takes place in an asylum? I mean, it's a bold move. I'd be interested to see it. The trailer was interesting. I just don't know if they're going to be able to pull it.
Arkham Asylum with mutants. Yeah, it's I hate the idea because I love the X-Men and hate horror movies. Like I said, or I don't know. What if it were something like Trick or Treat or Cabin in the Woods, where like kind of a comedian, like a comedic take on the horror genre with X-Men and superpowers, that could be fun. But you need some pretty great writing to make that, instead of making name 9 out of 10 other really crappy horror movies that come out every year, right? So I don't know, like it just seems like a stupid direction to take it. Although it is of my like I do think a smart strategy is to offer different properties with your IP in different genres. So like, hey, we do this really cerebral X-Men movie or TV show like Legion, and then we do this really broad X-Men TV show like The Gifted, and then we do this like weird horror movie, and then we do this like romantic comedy. Like I like the idea that they're offering something for everybody with these characters that we know are successful characters because they've lasted so long in comic book form. That said, there's no interest of mine to see the romantic comedy or the horror movie. So, I think it's smart for Disney to kind of take account and see what they really have on their hands at this point.
Yeah. And Isaiah says he thinks the externals would be better than a Gambit standalone.
Yes,
but only probably that would probably suck as well. Yeah,
or Matt Fraction's X Force run. That was Fraction, right?
Yeah,
the
they're
Dark
doing
X
that.
Force.
They're doing that.
Was great. I think that Gambit's in that, right? At one point. Dark Gambit. Anyway, I feel like he could fit into something like that.
He would fit into that, and I really look forward to that. I think that's something that's tailor made for a movie.
I also love this comment from Davis Schmeiden. Try wearing body armor and a leather coat in New Orleans in the summer. I can never get past that. This is the only time of year Gambit could move outside without getting heat stroke. Oh, right? God, that's so true. So good, because you look at the character and it's such great character design, but you're right, it's like really not, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, he'd be a sweaty mess, that's for sure. Mess. Ew. But yeah, with Deadpool 2 moving up, I'm very happy to see Deadpool sooner. I am looking forward to, although I think they're gonna miss Miller as the director. I do. Yeah. Although they have a guy, I forgot the guy's name, but it's one of the guys who did John Wick, so that's pretty solid too.
That's solid.
It is, and
you still have the sensibilities of Ryan Reynolds, who was one of the two, was one of the two real visionaries behind the original movie. So they still have that there, and as long as he brings his sensibilities to the awesome directing of the John Wick, I feel like that's a good pair. Do we know what if they're adding any X-Men to the Deadpool movie besides Cable?
What is Domino?
Domino's
in there. Negasonic Teenage Warrant
is still
coming back, and Colossus is going to be there. TJ Miller's character is not going to get taken out. even with all the Me Too stuff that's going on with him. That's as far as I know.
Good.
As far as I know.
Yeah, that's good.
Unless
I do really want like one
there's
day.
a teddy bear in there though.
Yeah,
There's a whole teddy bear. So that's what Hope Summers. So you never know.
Yeah, I hope we get a Hope Summers. I just can't wait for the day until we get like a big spectacle X-Men like crossover event not directed by or produced by Bryan Singer, where we can see like a true visionary like take these characters and do interesting things with them. Like the era of Singer seems to be over, but I've said that before when First Class happened, and I really hope it is over now, because I'm an X-Men fan, man. Like that's my fandom. Like you could out fan me on most things, but X-Men is a tough one, right? And so like I really want something that I like love and can point to, and like have an X-Men movie in my top 10 X-Men, like top 10 superhero movie list. Like I want the stuff I actually like in that list. It would be nice. So yeah, I just hope we get to that point. And I hope that Disney's I like Disney. I'm a Disney fan. So hopefully, Disney will do that.
Yeah, I thought Deadpool was it. I was, after I saw that, I'm like, give the keys to the kingdom to Miller, and this is it. I just saw, Negasonic Teenage Warhead and Colossus done extremely well, and it's in the X-Men universe. I am totally okay with this going on. And
Deadpool is it if it were an X-Men movie, like if it were a big team movie, right? Like that movie with a lot more X-Men in it would be it, right? Like you're right. That's as close as we've got.
Deadpool was their Iron Man, and better than Iron Man as a movie. I arguably, I mean, I love Iron Man and started it all, but like Deadpool is solid movie. And I'm saying that as not the biggest. Well, I am a big Deadpool fan now because of the movie.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah. And I, as far as like delaying movies, I wish they would, instead of stacking them up, I'm really, hey, it's going to be a great month. It's like, well, except maybe Han Solo, but that's going to be a great month. But why don't they? I've been saying this since we started the podcast. Like, put out your big blockbuster on January 15th when there's nothing. Yeah, you're competing with Star Wars now. Star Wars usually wasn't supposed to come out in Christmas, but you know what I'm talking about. Like in the middle of March, and they're starting to do that now. They got Black Panther coming out in February. It's like, screw summer. Like, forget it. And people are starting to forget. So, like, especially the later summer months, people forget about August, and it's like, Guardians came out in August.
Yep.
You do, and it came out in September, and that was a huge hit. It doesn't matter anymore. That whole thinking is so 20th century.
Agreed.
To me.
I totally agree with you. And I feel like we almost have enough properties and movies out there where you could pretty much, like, between all of the studios, come out with one like every week or two, like it almost feels like you could have just like, okay, like I'm Disney, I now own all the Fox properties. Like, let's just develop movies that there's a big movie every 2 months. I think that their issue is always like kneecapping themselves. Where like you have a movie like Avatar, right? That like the box office just stays at number one or Titanic, right? Forever. You don't want to be the one to release the movie that takes out, like if Infinity War is the number one movie for like 7 weeks, you don't, as Disney, want to release like Captain America to kneecap Infinity War, right? Yep. Like that would be stupid. So I think that's what they're always worried about.
And they're kneecapping Infinity War with 2 of their own movies now, and does anybody remember that the movie that knocked Titanic out of number one? Okay. Titanic was released in November of, I can't remember the year, but it was Lost in Space with Gary Oldman in April, in freaking April. That's what knocked it out of the number one spot. That was insane. And Doug will remember this if he's still there. Raiders of the Lost Ark was in a theater, and Star Wars and Empire. All these movies used to be in theaters for an entire year straight, and wasn't a re-release. No, it's sat in the theater for a year, and we went back and watched it again and again and again. That'll never happen again. But God, Christ, isn't Justice League about to come out on video soon, or has it done already?
It's like I can't wait for Thor to come out on video. I just still want to see that. it was at a weird time that I couldn't get out to the theater, but I really like Thor. I'm so excited about it. Everyone said how good it is, and I still haven't seen it.
I can't believe you haven't seen it. I liked it. Not everybody did, but I liked it. Charles, I completely agree with you. Yes, we need something good to watch now instead of these give me an Oscar movies, which are just, I mean, especially the older I get, when Hollywood tries to make a drama, it's like, it's funny because like we used to think sci-fi movies, and some of them were like silly. I look at drama, like Hollywood trying to be real, as the silliest thing possible. Even I watched Darkest Hour, which I loved, and I love Gary Oldman. I thought he was really good at Winston Churchill and deserved his Golden Globe, but it was still like Gary Oldman in a fat suit. It's just, that's what it was. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. I mean, don't call Thor ridiculous and not this. I mean, it's still good, but it's ridiculous. I told you there's that whole scene where he goes in the underground and he's talking to the people, and that might have really happened, but I doubt it went down the way it did in that movie. It was so cheesy. Oh my God. But agreed. And I saw Shape of Water, and that was a very clever way of Guillermo del Toro trying to get nerds into an Oscar bait movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, let's do Abe Sapien in Love, or The Last Temptation of Abe Sapien. And it was an okay movie. I'm sure it's going to win probably freaking everything. And it was really well directed, and the sets were amazing, and the costumes were great. Just the story was, every time it started to take hold of you, like there wasn't enough, believe it or not, of the girl, I forgot the girl's name, and Abe Sapien, whatever he was. They were kind of mushed towards the end, and you didn't really get the whole they were in love thing. They talked about them, spoiler warning by the way, of them having sex, and it's that's crazy.
My problem with Pan's Labyrinth
ending.
Yeah, that's like the best parts. There wasn't enough of the best stuff.
Yep.
That I feel like sometimes he suffers from a little bit of that.
The acting, you felt like you were watching 1966 or whatever year it was. It was, I mean, like the attention to detail, like he is great at that, but he's a magpie. That's the problem, is like he's so creative that he's hard to pin down, and that's why he can't do like he's perfect doing a movie like that. So
have you told the story about
Sally Hawkins?
About meeting him, Gary?
I have before. I can tell it again.
Like Gary. So Gary invited me, and I was witness to it, to meet Guillermo del Toro at Jimmy Kimmel event. And so like he met him in the green room, and Gary was telling Guillermo del Toro about like, hey, I own a comic shop. I love comics and blah, blah, blah. And Guillermo del Toro told this really amazing, like basically said like, I've always wanted to like own a taco like truck, and like, I love tacos, and like you love comics, like I love tacos, and I want to like sell the best tacos to people. Like there's so much like beauty and like taking what you love and giving it to people, like I always remember that, because it was such an interesting, like this big time movie maker, like so many people's dreams is to get to Hollywood and make these big movies. And Guillermo was talking about like, like I want to be the maker of the best taco and like give it to people around the world. So it was pretty great.
He's a super charming guy, really fun. And that was a fun night. Saw Tenacious D. Yeah, it was good. I love LA. So based on your recommendation, Viking Bitch says, based on your recommendation, I've started reading The Boys. I can actually see it being adapted into a TV series. Yes. I think that's initially why it was written. As a matter of fact, I'll say this: every comic written from 2007 on is either a failed script or we are pitching a script. I was sitting right next to the Boondocks. That I never watched it very much, but that animated show, the Boondocks. I was pushing my my Dark Legion and horror show comics, and I was sitting next to the guy who, when he got optioned, when the guy approached him and offered him 10 grand, and he signed it right there, like right there on the floor to get the Boondocks option. And there's guys, they used to go down to Artist Alley, 10 years ago, and there was producers and everything just buying up scripts for nothing, for dirt, to option. None of them were going to get made. But that book is made. It's going to be expensive, but it's going to Amazon. So and it's being done by the guys who did Preacher. Seth Rogen, and I forgot the other guy's name, but
Amazon was smart to buy that as their property for a
Yeah.
gritty superhero show that they want to put money into to compete, right? Like that is some of the best stuff. Like it's either that or, you know, it's going to compete directly with Millar World, like with Jupiter Circle. What's the original one?
Jupiter's Legacy and
Jupiter's Legacy, all that stuff. Jupiter Circle was the original. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like a better version of that, right? Like it's a more intense, more effed up version of the same stuff you're going to see over on Netflix, and I think they know that. And I'm curious to see how that all shakes out. You know, that's the downside, though, right? Like you're going to have a complete an analog to that over on Netflix when these things launch that people are going to be comparing. So there's a lot of pressure, I think, on them to get it right. But the comic itself, like I don't like gratuitous really anything. I'm very not hardcore in my tastes, but The Boys was so well done that you just couldn't deny how much fun that comic is.
It's if the people got the revenge on the Watchmen, basically, if people just like rose up against the Watchmen, and it's perfect for today's for all this, for Me Too and everything, because the superheroes are celebrities in that world.
And they're effed up, so like they
effed
do
up,
anything they
want. Yeah, and they have powers, which is scary. So yeah, and they gather a bunch of victims of superhero, violence and stuff, and it's going to be funny.
You're right.
It's too bad they're not going to get Simon Pegg in there. Maybe they are trying, because they drew him in mind, and he was signed on to do the movie. But
I remember that.
Yeah,
that was a long time ago.
It was. But
I feel like Simon Pegg wants to be a filmmaker now. Like he's not serious. Yeah, he's not as into the acting anymore, really.
No, as long as they get Garth Ennis's sense of humor down, because that's really
hard thing
important.
To do. Yeah,
it's a really hard thing. But Seth Rogen is pretty much, when he's given the time and budget on Preacher, he's been able to do it.
Yes.
So,
oh no, I have all the faith in Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
I think that he loves this stuff, right? Like he doesn't do projects. He's got so much cachet now that he doesn't have to do anything, right? So he only does the stuff he loves when he takes on somebody else's work. And I think that shows in the product. And I have all the faith in the world that his sense of humor merged with Garth Ennis's sense of humor in the source material is like a very, very potent blend.
Hell yeah. I cannot wait. And neither can Derek. And sometime very soon, we're going to have Derek on, and hopefully on a live stream. He said he's down to do the live stream and answer your questions and stuff, and to talk about The Boys. So that's the plan. It's coming up soon.
Come on, Derek, come on.
Maybe in the next 2 weeks I'll have it. Well, he's just hard to pin. You don't talk about Magpie. You want to talk about a magpie, but a really nice,
artistic sensibilities.
Yeah, he's really one of my best buds. So love Derek. And I'm really happy for him. He's got a show that's out right now that kicks ass, and one that looks like it's going to be really good. So, and then the best one's still to come. Transmetropolitan.
Yeah, Transmetropolitan is talk about like perfect for right now, man.
I know, right? Oh my God. I can't talk about that one now. Let's just say, if you're a Transmetropolitan fan, you will be very happy in about a year. I'll just say that.
That's awesome.
That's probably too much, but there you go. So, do we want to go dark and kind of dark? And
yeah, let's get it out of the way.
Let's get it out of the way. We're going to talk about Stan Lee, and the stuff that's going down with Stan Lee. I don't want to really go over the incident.
No,
wasn't there. Don't know what happened. The thing I wanted to talk about was, and other people have talked about, we're not the first. Okay. And this is a crappy subject because, I don't want to not believe. Okay. I like the trust, but verify,
right.
And there is I'll be honest, because it's Stan Lee. If it was some other person, I'd be less likely to want to defend the person, but yeah, it's Stan Lee. And it's because mainly he's elderly. And I'm sure the people who are in the chat have all had experiences with that, going to see our grandparents. And I've had to visit my grandparents in old folks' homes. and some uncles and aunts. And I had my grandpa died of Alzheimer's and had dementia, and just and not making excuses. If he was of sound mind and body and did these things, that's freaking horrible. Okay, I'll come out and say that. But if he's suffering from dementia, his wife just died. It's that's kind of part of the job as in the
you're like
nursing.
you're coming in as a caretaker into his home and his life and looking after him. Like, I don't know. I don't
And
love.
what I mean by part of the job, I want to finish that. Sorry, John.
Yeah.
Apologies. Is like you're gonna get poop thrown at you. I mean, like all kinds of crazy, crazy stuff happens. And I'm not saying that's what it is. It's a possibility. It's a possibility. This could be a shakedown, John. And he is, it's not been widely publicized. He's been shook down a lot. Okay, a lot of people have scammed this man out of money. He's been an easy target, especially the bigger he got. He's had management embezzle from him, and there's a lot of this stuff that hasn't come out. Okay, but I nobody told me not to say anything, and I know this for a fact. He's had a couple of management representation, whatever his agents, whatever, embezzle from him. He's gone through them like tissue, and he signed his name onto a lot of things. Okay, he would not say no to anything, and his rationale was it was for his his kids and stuff. And also he didn't get a lot of money from Marvel. Remember, Disney's making billions, and he's worth 50 million.
Mm-hmm.
So, sorry, I don't know what. Sorry, John, didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. I just I don't. There has to be some threshold applied in a lot of these stories, right? Like I believe everyone should speak whatever they're going to speak. Like I believe in free speech and all of that stuff, but I just think there has to be some sort of threshold that we look at, like situationally what's going on in a lot of this stuff. And I don't know. I just haven't seen anything that in this story that I can't kind of attribute to like to like somebody in their somebody in their final years of life, like I can't really attribute much of this stuff to like any sort of intent. And so I don't know, I hate watching people glam onto like a movement and bringing down like it's not about bringing people, it shouldn't be about bringing people down, right? Like it should be about it should always be about rising people up. And I feel like this just reeks of a misapplication of this movie. I don't know. I don't love this.
What the thing I wanted to talk about was not the incident itself. Whatever happened, happened. And if it really happened, then people can judge the way they want to judge. It's the bleeding cools and people on Twitter who were just dancing on his grave. And okay, I'll use I statements. So if I go out on Twitter and say, hey, listen and true believe, blah, 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 Stan Lee's a perv, blah, 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 and, talk some shit, I'm doing it to just bring attention to myself. And you're exploiting both the people. If they did get harassed and stuff happened, you're exploiting them and you're exploiting Stan. And especially if you're bleeding cool, this is your industry, you want to just tread carefully. This is the internet. That this is going to happen. This is how we feel about it. People are going to do that. There's nothing I can do to stop it, and that's fine. And people can do what they want. You're going to come off, or I'm going to come off like an asshole if I do that. Jude Terr in particular doesn't care. That guy's, he's a provocateur anyway. He goes out there and bleeding cool is clickbait. And yeah, I got a beef against bleeding cool for personal reasons, but they still like provide some good news sometimes if you can get past all the ads popping up and destroying your computer. But yeah, it was just sad to see. And if this happened or not, this is what like if Stan dies, God forbid, in the next year or so, and he's definitely word on the street is he's going downhill fast. He's losing his eyesight. My son and I just saw him 2 years ago at Silicon Valley Con, and he looked, and I saw him 3 years before that, and you could just really tell. I'm like, I couldn't believe he was still going out and doing this stuff. But that's what people are going to remember if he passes, is this stuff, whether it was true or not. So, I mean, yeah, there were no police reports filed. And I know a lot of times you can't. Okay, I understand that. There's a lot of fear involved, and being abused is fucked up. And with the whole Me Too thing, I believe, 95% of it anyway, from like everybody else. I really do. You worked down there longer than I have. And you saw what goes down just on the lower ends. Just on the
business practices are not exactly. It's rife with all this shit.
The e-Christmas party, the e-Christmas party. Wow. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm just really sorry this whole
it's
thing
just
happened.
Not great.
Yeah, it's ugly. So sorry. We'll get that out of the way. We'll talk about more fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, real quick, let's get to, I want to talk about, I know we talked about it last week, but I want to talk about it again because I don't think we talked about it enough, was Game of Thrones delay. This damn Game of Thrones delay. It's gotten under my skin a little bit, probably because I love the show and I love the freaking books. But a producer came out today and said, basically company line, it's like, hey, we're Dan and Dave really want to get this thing right. And which I totally believe, by the way. And the production's going to take longer, and I don't think it's a secret. I think we knew from the get-go they were talking about 2019. But as we stated last week, it's a really horrible idea and to like come back with only 6 episodes after a year break. Do you think that Game of Thrones is going to retain their ratings, and do you think that there's more to it than just, I mean, I believe the production delays and everything, but do you think there's like maybe a little more to it than that, John?
I think it's going to retain. Look, people want to see the end to this, right? So I think Game of Thrones is going to retain whatever viewership it has. I don't think anyone who's into it is going to bail on it anytime soon. But I do think, even if they're not enjoying it that much, I think that they're going to stick with it until until it ends. It's not like a Walking Dead situation where like we don't see an end in sight and the quality's gone down so much that it's like, why bother? I feel like with Game of Thrones, it's like, okay, all these things have been set up on the chessboard. We need to see the end game now. So I think they're actually in an okay position where they can wait and still have everything be okay. Not that it's a great idea, but I think that they can. I do think that there's a little bit of fatigue going on in the production of this show. I think that there's probably some anger in the fact that there's not more source material out there for these final books. And I think that there's probably a little bit of just like, we've been working on this for a long time and we need to finish it. And a little bit of angst around all of that. I'm guessing the actors are also probably getting a little bit like, hey, we're big actors now. We want to get out there and do stuff, right? Like we want to get out there and be movie stars, right? Like some of it is happening. And so, I think that there's a little bit of that going on for sure. But, we see this a lot in video games, where projects get pushed back for like real, like close to release for long periods of time. It'll be like 2 months before something's supposed to come out. And they're like, hey, remember that thing that was supposed to come out 2 months from now? It's going to be another year. And it's like, oh, geez, and the line is always just like, you want it to be right? Like we need to get it right. And we don't want to give you a product that's like half baked. Now, technically speaking, that makes more sense for video games. But I think that if that's your real motive, and you think that you're going to give me a bad season of TV if you release it tomorrow, and you're going to give me a really good season of TV if you release it in 3 months, fine, like do it, like make it right. That is a good idea. But yeah, I do think that there's a little bit of fatigue here on the production side of things.
Oh, I think that plays so much into it that they're burnt out, and it is getting whittled away, even if they're taking more time. The actors and actresses are going out and doing more stuff, and we have Sansa wearing this wig that you can totally tell is a wig, It's kind of like with the reshoots of in the prequels, you can always tell when Ewan McGregor came back for a reshoot because he had this horrible fake beard.
Yes.
And it takes you out of it, and that's why you should plan these things out. That's why Mr. Robot's been so tight, because they planned it out. Westworld, probably saw what Game of Thrones is going through, and like, no, we're gonna just do 5 seasons, and so we don't have people blowing up and wanting to go do other things, and then they got to wear silly wigs or have their mustaches digitally taken out, and then takes you out of the story, and then you have to change your writing to scheduling. Scheduling plays a huge part in how a show is produced, and your availability. It's like, oh, I'd love to do this big scene with Jon Snow, but he's filming 2 movies right now, so we can't. And then I'm sure Kit Harington wants to cut his hair. And like and now you're delaying it a year. So, and then you're delaying a year after probably not your worst season.
Yes, you're right. I mean, look, all of this is bad, but it's it's going to be the last season, and I feel like they are very lucky that the show is what the show is, to where like it's the last and most important story-wise season, right? Like, all of the threads have to come together now in the next 6 episodes, and anyone who's into Game of Thrones wants to see how they come together. So like, you could wait 20 years and everyone would still just jump right back on it to see how the thing ends.
Yeah.
Right. So they have that luxury, but it's annoying.
It's so annoying,
man. There's goodwill that's being bled out for sure.
Exactly. And they had a lot of goodwill, but they lost a lot of it, at least with me. Anyway, Charles, you're right. Long history of last seasons of things being disappointing because they don't give an F about coming back anymore. Right. They get burnt out. And then isn't it funny, Charles, that like when they do the 10 and 15 year anniversary photo shoots in some magazine, they're like, oh, I wish we would have stayed longer. And yes. It's like you guys get so trapped in your that all it happens every time. The actor, actress, creator think, oh, this thing is big because of me. No, it's big because you were part of a thing that we like.
Magical lightning in a bottle thing.
Kit Harington is not going to go be the next action star. Okay,
he's not great. But he's good as Jon Snow.
He's great as Jon Snow, but he does not have the greatest acting. Sansa, she's really good as Sansa. But you saw the last X-Men Apocalypse as Jean. She is no Jean Grey. Okay, unless she gets some like major acting lessons, works on her American accent a little bit. And I don't know.
I'd rather have her be a British Jean Grey than something.
Yeah, I really don't like it. It's like, that's with Jonathan Boyega in Last Jedi. It's like, just roll with the British accent. It sounds so much better.
If you can do the American accent really well, great. That makes you awesome. If you can't, like, there's no real story reason why you can't have a British accent. So I think it's dumb.
It's all right, Ghost World. You haven't missed much. Okay.
No, in fact, you probably anyway. Yes, you're gonna. The best stuff is still to come.
Yeah, and then again, Dan and Dave, great adapters. They adapted George R. Martin's books really well. Greatness in the first, brilliantly. But he's given them crumbs since then. The Hodor thing he gave them. I think he gave them one more thing. Like, I really don't think Arya's storyline is going to end up that way. Hers ends in I believe, this is not a spoiler, it's just my speculation, in tragedy, by the way, which is still good, I guess. And it's not going to be this pretty ending.
She's not going to just cross names off her list and be like, ta-da! Like, it's just not how that.
George R. Martin will make her work with somebody on her list. Like, she's going to need that person to get to something else or something. I don't know. And then leaving out Lady Stoneheart. Good damn it. That's
dumb. What's the point? Like, you have this fantastic actress who's playing this fantastic character, and there's this fantastic twist in the books. That's this amazing reveal. Like, why? Like, she must not have wanted to do the show. There's no reason why you wouldn't do Lady Stoneheart. Like, it's just so strange. But yeah, you're right. Like, I still think, like, I love season 4. I love season 5. I even think there's a lot of redeemable stuff about season 6. But as it goes on, as they get further away from like what's actually in text, that they can like, not only what's in the story, but like all the history that's built around it, and like the history of Westeros kind of stuff, right? For another a plug for another podcast, like all that between the lines stuff, they're able to incorporate into the building of this world. And as they get further away from the text, the world starts to fall apart around the show. Like the depth of the world, the roses of the world start to go away. And it becomes like this big character, like here are your 5 main characters, here's what they're doing, teleport around and have them all meet together and formulate plans and then battle, right? Like that's what it's becoming. And it's just a disservice to the show.
All podcasts and recaps suffered, including ours, last year, because there was no mystery to break down. It's like, well, this person's obviously going to go meet that person.
How cool was it when this happened this episode?
Yeah, awesome. That was really cool. And I know, awesome, great, and there was nothing super shocking. And the spoilers were all over the place. But that's you got to be they got to be clever about that. They need to go. They started to shoot fake scenes. They need to really do that. They need to really go and shoot an entire fake thing while you're shooting the real thing. And that would be great, by the way. Just figure that in the budget, shadow shooting or whatever. Man. I don't know. They could still turn it around. But it just made me a bigger fan of the book. I can't wait for the books to come out. If they ever do. I do think we're going to get Wins a Winner this year. So I think that's a definite possibility.
I think the last season is actually going like, I think that the second to last season was always going to be the hardest for them because they had to set all the pieces into the end game like as quickly as possible. There was less episodes, and so they like had to like move everything into place for the big finales that we were gonna have happen. And so I think that was always going to be a hard task without George R. R. Martin's subtlety in operating in that, in moving those pieces. And so I do think that there's like the end of the story is always going to be easier to show off because it's just a bunch of people dying, living, having battles, and getting married. Usually, like that's usually the easiest stuff to do without it being bad. So I think it'll be fun.
Yeah. Yes, Arturo. They need to stop being predictable, and it was really predictable. But the thing is, in 6 episodes, John, like 1 or 2 people are going to die per episode, probably.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it'll just be a big death pool.
We'll have to have a death pool of like 21 rounds before that season starts with you, me, Dennis, and Mel.
We have a lot of time to talk about it. A lot of time.
We could do a round of that draft every month or week.
I was fully obsessed. History of Westeros, Preston Jacobs. These are all people like I listen to daily. Alt Shift X. Their breakdowns episodes were absolutely the best. And I would listen to podcasts. I would go to Watchers on the Wall website, and just every day I would go there. And after last season, I stopped dead. And now I'm all about Westworld. Westworld has crazier theories. No book to fall back on.
Mr. Robot.
Mr. Robot too. Mr. Robot's nuts. Those are 2 shows that I guess I like my mysteries as long as they're good.
Legion too, I think, has a lot of that.
Legion, yeah. Legion's going to be. I can't wait for that.
So
that's
Ray,
March.
Yeah, yes. I can't. Yeah, my birthday present. Ray Deathray says everyone should just suddenly have British accents on The Walking Dead, including the zombies. Would be awesome.
Agreed.
So just in case you guys just got here in the chat, we after hitting 1,000 subscribers, we are able to employ super chat into the live chat experience. So we love answering your questions and seeing your comments. And if you, I don't know, if you're able to, support financially the podcast a little bit, you can just hit the super chat button, pledge a certain amount of dollars, and we'll dig into whatever question you have to ask. So it's not like we're not going to answer the other questions, but it helps us a lot. So check it out. Super chat. It's at the bottom of the chat. It's the little dollar sign. Arturo said it's like the FBI guy from Mr. Robot. I think it was really predictable. He was going, spoiler, going somewhere.
Yep. He was going to do something.
Yes.
He was going to go visit his mom. Yeah. I also want to bring up, if you guys follow, because I haven't brought it up on Happy, so I'll bring it up here. If you are watching our Happy recap, occasionally we give away prizes. And we are doing a prize for Happy. We're doing, since John was talking about Patreon, it's too far for me to reach. But you get Happy 1 through 4 with all the variants, and they all are signed by Derek Robertson, and he did a little sketch on a couple of them. And you get a piece of original art by Derek Robertson. Can you see that? I can't see the screen.
Yeah.
It's awesome. This is a picture of Happy drawn by Derek. Yeah, so all you have to do is comment on Happy, and your name goes into a hat. And at the end of the final recap, we will pick a name out of the hat and announce our winner.
We should figure out a way to make super chat preferential on that
like
giveaway.
It gives you an extra pick or something like that.
Yeah, we can do that. 5 submissions instead of 1, something of that nature.
There you go. But yeah, I think it's a cool prize. You also get the art of the boys, which is Derek Robertson, all of Derek Robertson's covers, and he signed that as well. And it's a big hardcover.
That's amazing.
I'll show it again next recap.
I might have to comment on that to enter for that one. That's sick.
Good stuff. Oh, he sent me an extra one. That's right.
There you go.
That's right. Yeah, because he was supposed to join us on Happy, but he couldn't. So he sent us some stuff instead, which was way cool.
We'll reel in that big fish eventually.
Oh, we will. Someday it'll happen. We've also got a couple other interviews lined up that I don't want to spoil, but one of them I can tease a little bit. It has to do with Dark Crystal 2. Dark Crystal 2. Yes, it is in production. So if you guys were into the Dark Crystal at all, yeah, we might know somebody who's working on it. So, or at least my wife does. Is it possible for you guys to review The Leftovers? I would love to hear your take on it. I have not seen it.
So actually, I was that may be a thing that we do. We may go back and do some of The Leftovers. I have a friend who's very much into them, who's been asking to maybe get in on as a guest on one of our podcasts, and that was exactly what he wanted to podcast about. So we may be in luck. Stand by for some Leftovers.
Yeah, as we expand our content.
Yeah,
that definitely that would be the only way we could.
Yes, it's an option. But
yeah,
in the pipe.
Yes, Dark Crystal 2. Oh, they can't do it Labyrinth 2, unfortunately, and I love them both. I really will both. But Dark Crystal, I mean, David Bowie trumps Muppets and always, but
always.
But he's dead.
So what do you think about this from Ghost World? Expanse going the way of Game of Thrones, outgrowing the books, and then getting lost and having to take its own liberties. Do you see that as a thing that might happen?
It could, but I don't think so, because I don't know how far you are into the books, Ghost World. I just read the most recent, and I had to read it twice because I really hated it the first time I read it. And I'm like, God, I love these characters so much. So I give it another chance. Not like I have tons of time to blast through a book, but they're pretty easy reads. And I like it better, but it did something crazy. I don't think the show could do what the book did. So I think they will refine it. And I've kind of like, the books get hit and miss later on. There's some really good ones, and there's parts of some Babylon's Ashes has a character that just bugs me. And I have, like, if I go back and reread it, I will skip the Michio Pa chapters completely, because her character makes 0 sense to me. I'll just say that. I don't want to spoil anything, but it could definitely happen. But I think they have a great opportunity to refine the books and finish it up in a different way, kind of keeping in line with it a little bit, but not doing the crazy thing that they did in the last book. Oh my God, we got $1. Katra, thank you. Thank you for the super chat. That's our first. Right on.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. Yeah, with the Expanse, I hope not. I love that show so freaking much, but they have really good writers. They have tight writers. So what I'm afraid of, Ghost World, and I want to know what you think, is do you think sci-fi is going to pull the plug a little early, like they threatened to do with Battlestar Galactica, forcing them to kind of just finish up a little earlier than they wanted? Because I know BSG wanted to go 5 seasons, not 4, but they wanted to end on their own terms. So that's why they went, okay, screw it, we'll just do 4. Which, I still
I
love
don't
them.
understand how sci-fi wouldn't let them just go as long as they wanted to go at that point. Like that's so weird. It was such a big, like it kind of put sci-fi on the map at that point in their branding. Remember they went sci-fi right around that time, and right in the middle of it, I think. And it's just so weird to me that they wouldn't just, like, Battlestar was such a great show for them, that they wouldn't just want it to go on as long as they were willing to do it.
Ghost World, I need to read Babylon's Ashes again. And again, I liked all but the Michio Pa stuff because her character was not logical. It just wasn't logical. But maybe because when I reread Persepolis Rising, you're absolutely right. It ends so well. And I just had to get used to the different thing that I don't want to come out and say it. I must sound like really vague right now, but they did something really crazy, and I just had to once I got used to it and reread it again, I'm like, okay, this is really pretty cool. And they said something like the end game is going to be amazing, really amazing.
So Arturo does ask, and Ghost World does not love the question, but we'll talk about it. Do you guys prefer the original Star Wars trilogy, the prequels, or the new Disney fuck up that's happening? I guess we could rank them or whatever. But what's interesting is that I am not someone who hates the Disney fuck up that's happening as much as everybody else. Obviously, the originals are still my favorite. I grew up on them. I've watched them so many times. It's hard to even compare because I've seen them so much that there's a little luster that's worn off it, right? Because it's so familiar. And the new Star Wars is new, and that's a thing, right? But for me, it's always about the original Star Wars. And then for me, I like I'm okay with the new stuff. I don't love it. It's not the best, but it tonally the movies are fun in the moment. You can pick them up. You can definitely dig in afterwards and see the problems. But in the moment when I've watched both of them, at least for the first time, and even for a couple times after that for Force Awakens, I enjoy it. I enjoy my experience watching it. It's they're fun. And I did not have a whole lot of fun for the prequels while they were even happening. So yeah, for me that's how I would characterize them. And I almost wish they had just stopped with the original series and then either done something separate or just stuck with stuff like Rebels or Clone Wars, the cartoons and stuff, because it does feel like that was the story. Right? It definitely feels like the story, the Luke Skywalker learning about his place in the world, and the Jedi, being the new and last Jedi or whatever. I think that was the story. The him dealing with his dad and his I feel like that was it. And I don't feel like anything after that was quite as poignant or interesting. So yeah. That's my take on it. I know you have a very different take on it.
No, that's your take. That's understandable. My take is I'm going to be called the grumpy old fanboy. I'm a fan man, by the way. I own my basement. Is I like the original trilogy. I don't even like all of Return of the Jedi. Okay, I don't like the Ewoks. The time has not healed that wound. You got to realize when I saw it, I wasn't a kid. I was 13 when that came out. So the Ewoks annoyed the F out of me, but the back half of that movie, the final scene between Luke and Darth Vader with that music and the Emperor, whole thing almost brought me to tears. It was so beautiful. That's how much I loved it. I watched all those multiple times. I'm a huge original trilogy fan. I went back and watched half of Empire after I watched The Last Jedi just to see how really bad it was. And it's not even close. It's not nowhere near the same neighborhood. Right. I didn't like the prequels at all. I judge what I like based on if I'd go back and watch it again. The only thing I would rewatch of the prequels is the Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan, Darth Maul lightsaber duel, which was
definitely cool, cartoonish lightsaber battles in the prequels.
There is, but that's fine. But I could not watch them again. There's more bad, unfortunately. There's more bad Star Wars than good, in my opinion. and it's done. It's dead. It's dead to me. Star Wars was not this big universe. Okay, I know that with the video games, people will argue with me on that, but to me anyway, because I was, Star Wars is Luke, Han, Leia, Chewbacca, R2D2, C3PO,
Darth,
and that's it. If they go out and create something new within that world that has nothing to do with the Empire, First Order, or anything, I'd be definitely interested in that. But Rian Johnson, to really bash on the new stuff even more, came out and said something that is the biggest deal to me, was that when he came in, they had no plan. Yeah. They had zero plan. He was free to do what he wanted. That's horrifying. I mean, you just paid how much and you had no plan. And I think Disney thought that Kathleen Kennedy would have one because she stood next to George Lucas and Steven Spielberg for 20, 30 years. Problem is, those are the only two people she really worked for.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's clear that she doesn't get along with a lot of people, and not everybody's going to be Ron Howard and Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. And, I could stand next to, a rocket scientist all my life. I'm not going to know how to build a freaking rocket. So I'm sorry, she needs to go, and they need to rethink that whole thing. They'll figure that out eventually. It's making a ton of money right now, but that's not everything. There's what is it? Beyond the trailer. Beyond the trailer says it best. There's big box office numbers and there's strong box office numbers, and they're different.
Yep.
Last Jedi does not have strong. If you go look, it's down to $1 million a day during the week.
We were talking about earlier, Avatar and Titanic. Those are strong box office numbers. Avengers, I feel like, had strong box office numbers. These, they're big, huge opening weekends and then kind of trails off. Although it's better than some other ones. So Isaiah asks if anyone is watching The Magicians. The season premiere was pretty dope. So I've watched the whole first season, and I am right now starting this. I've watched the first couple episodes of the second season, but I'm doing it as a binge process because I don't know why I fell off on it, because I enjoyed it more than I didn't. There were problems with it, obviously, but I did enjoy it, minus some of the angstiness, and it gets more interesting as it goes along. I'm actually I'm kind of a fan of it. The style isn't my thing either. It goes dark places that I don't like. I want it to revel a little bit in its big moments, because it definitely sinks into its dark moments. So I'd like to have a little bit of balance in that respect, but it is it's a good show if you're looking for a show to watch and you're out of other options, right? It's never going to be hey, I can't wait to see Magicians, but it's good. It's a good ride. I haven't seen the season premiere though, so maybe it will get there for sure.
Not my show, not for me.
Yeah, no,
not my wheelhouse. Viking bitches. Did anyone see the same the anime version of Witchblade? Her costume drove me crazy. How could she fight in a crotchless suit? Can't you say that about anything anime? Really? I don't. Yeah. I mean, her costume in the comic book was a little ridiculous, but it was the 90s. Mark Silvestri,
Yeah.
It's a lot of guys who sat alone drawing and didn't talk to girls a lot, and they expressed that in their art. Plus, it was the 90s. But yeah, Star Wars. Poor Star Wars. Oh well.
Oh, you know what's riding its ship a tiny bit, and I don't have faith that it'll continue necessarily, but whatever it might. Star Trek Discovery, in coming back this January, was surprising, right? It was surprisingly a step up from where it had been the previous season, and it was gaining momentum, definitely. A slump, a snowball turning into a larger snowball. But we're getting to the point where the avalanche might be coming. It's definitely riding its ship a bit, right?
It is. I want to answer Ghost World real quick. I agree with you, Ghost World, and I'm just paraphrasing here. I was kind of going through his comics. Some of the side stories on some of the stuff they got rid of in Star Wars was very cool. And I wish they would, they can totally right the ship, and that's why we're going to lead into where they might have. I know this is crazy with Star Trek Discovery, but you can right a ship. It's possible within, and I'll always invoke The Next Generation. The first season sucked. It was terrible. It had moments, but I stuck with it because it's Star Trek. And I think Star Wars and Star Trek will both be fine. Maybe it's just they need to get, it's only been a couple years. Okay. So they need to get some stuff under them and figure out their mistakes, fix their mistakes, and then we can get some really good stuff. And also get away from, the original characters and make your own new stuff. Now, Star Trek Discovery did that in a very interesting way. And now it's only one episode.
Right,
so
it's
I'm not
one.
gonna go nuts. Okay. But they, without totally spoiling, they went into the mirror universe, and it opened up some possibilities to where some of my prejudgments of the show could have been like, you were just being judgmental. You need to kind of wait for the story to pan out, and we'll explain a lot of this weirdness. Like, I have a feeling they're actually my biggest complaint is the change in the Klingons, but I have since watched Enterprise, the final 2 seasons, where they talk about the change of the Klingons from what they were in the original series to Worf, kind of a eugenics thing. So that could be fixed, and there could be an explanation for that I was just, I don't know, that could be it, but there's possibilities now. And just the actual episode itself was paced well, written better. Everybody acted better in it. I don't know what the deal was. It probably was. I don't know if it was filmed months later after their first set, but it definitely was better.
Do you think it was planned this way, or they're retconning bad things out in this second batch of stuff from the first season?
I didn't hear about any reshoots. There could have been secret reshoots that we never hear about.
But not even research, just like reshoots, just like the production schedule usually is, in a way that you start getting feedback at around the 9th episode.
Yeah.
You're filming the 9th episode of a show, 9th, 10th, 11th episode of a show when the first episode is starting to premiere, or you're getting like focus group feedback, stuff like that from the early season episodes. So I don't know. Like, I am questioning if this was a grand plan, or if like something happened where now they're trying to smooth over and retcon earlier bumps.
I would do that, because this whole 2017, the year of the split fandom, needs to stop. They need, you're always going to piss some people off, but you don't want it to be 50% of your audience. Some would argue it's not that much with Star Wars and Star Trek. I would argue it is. I'd say it's about 50% that people just look at videos on YouTube and look at the positive to negative. And I know negative sells, but the positive to negative on Star Wars, like just bashing on Star Wars at all in the last month, like got a lot of people subscribers. And, I tried not to clickbait with us, we did our share of bashing it too.
Yeah.
You didn't. Okay. You were a fan of it. So we tried to be as fair as we could, wanted to bring in a positive voice. With Star Trek, we've been back and forth, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We were kind of hard on it. Well, we were very hard on it. And we weren't hard on it in the last episode. And I don't know if people want to hear that. It's just, we're going to take it episode to episode, but I don't know. It's
where we're at, right? Like, it's not like you always have to wonder, like, oh God, am I going to get slammed with "you're an idiot" comments? But like, I don't really care. Like, it's always just where I'm at with the thing, where it's like,
exactly.
Hey, here's the good stuff and here's the bad stuff. I think the good stuff overwhelmingly was better than the bad stuff in this episode. That wasn't the case necessarily for every episode for me of the first season. And that's kind of how I generally try to look at it. Did I enjoy my experience watching it? So even if it was good stuff, was it enjoyable to me? Like I feel like Legion is that for me, where it's like, hey, all this shit's so good. Like, this is so well done. I didn't really enjoy my experience watching it though. Like, what is that? Why is that? And kind of digging in. So yeah, I always try to stay as open-minded as I can, that like if I see good things, that eventually maybe I'll enjoy it or whatever. But yeah, with Star Trek Discovery, it definitely turned a corner. I would say at the time loop episode for me. In the first in the first half of the first season. And then they like had little stumbles and stuff as it went on to the finale. And then this episode came back and it seemed like almost a different, Beast. Like, it was much more ensemble than it had been, which I think is a huge credit to the episode. It felt like a group of people dealing with this stuff, and it wasn't just one or two that were like folk that we're honing in on, and everyone else is a side character. So I agree, Ghost World. I don't love Michael Burnham still as a character. I think the like I was just saying, like, I think the pros of this episode was that we had less of her, like they're equaling out some of that stuff, and we're getting more depth to the characters around Michael Burnham. So if they keep on that, we're like, she's one of many that on this ship doing all this crazy stuff. I think that's a good course correct.
Yeah,
that's
and we have her foundation. Awesome. Yeah, we have her, Captain Killy. We have her foundation. So now you can just do little building on her character each episode, like they did in normal Star Trek, and make her more human. That's what it felt like the last episode. And thank you for the kind words, Ghost World. He said, that's what we like about you. We do try to keep an open mind and be fair as possible. I'm not going to say that's going to happen all the time. Okay. Yeah. But I do my best. And yeah, we don't want to ever bash anybody personally for because I like some shit. I like crap. I do. There's some stuff there's some awful things I like, but I don't care. Yeah, Jonathan Frakes did a good job directing it too.
I like it.
Way. Ghost World says, remember Jonathan Frakes hinted about the mirror universe coming back. Yeah, I heard a little bit about that. So I figured it would play into it, and there's been so many nods back to the original series. So there is some pure Star Trek love going into this series. It's not for lack of trying. Okay. Nobody's accusing them of not trying. And honestly, even now that we've had a month or a couple months to kind of sit back, and after Star Trek, you realize that, God, I sounded like one of those, and we're not even the biggest Trekkies or Trekkers, but I totally sounded like one of those purists, and I'm not a purist when it comes to Star Trek. A couple things, but not Star Trek. So, it'll be interesting when I go back and rewatch the series. I still think I'll still stand by my comments early on, but I'm actually looking forward to the next episode and seeing where this thing goes. I am. So I know. Hey, what's up, Apple Crow? How you doing? Yeah, so it's interesting. Hopefully this year's starting off right. We've gotten some good TV, even silly old X-Files. Yeah. I like the second episode better than the first.
Yeah, so I'm not an X-Files fan, and I've never really watched the show. You guys came back and covered it. None of you seem to really overtly love that first episode. You said the second episode is better. So what tonally, I kind of want to have a discussion to see what people in the chat are talking about, but I don't know what I'm talking about. Is it, what changed in it that it was such a weird return? I heard a lot of just it's very the tone was off on that first episode. They what was going on with it?
It was just too 24. It was action Mulder, way too fast paced for an X-Files episode. And that's what I figured that out by Melissa. My wife went back and watched the first season, and I watched a few episodes with her, and I remembered that it was the 90s. They set stuff up. It was a slow burn. And the second episode was a lot more like an X-Files episode, where just some random weirdness happens in the beginning. More weirdness happens, then they have a weird explanation for it, and then they have no resolution, a little bit of resolution, and They dangle something open for a later date. That was it. And one of the lone gunmen came back, and that was cool. Ringo Langley, and they dealt with a pretty cool concept, and they moved the mythology forward a little bit. It was just a more entertaining episode. I liked it. Dennis was kind of 50-50 on it. But I'm also a huge X-Files fan. I will be an apologist for X-Files a lot. So
Isaiah asks, where's a good place to jump in if you want to get into the X-Files?
Oh God. So the beginning.
Start the beginning.
Yeah. The X-Files is really, really good up until they filmed their movie. And if you go like up through season 5, I believe 4 or 5, and you watch the first X-Files movie, which I like a lot, it's like a really good episode. That's solid. That is just pure, like, but I mean, it depends on your age. I don't know how old you are, but it's 90s TV. Okay. And 90s TV is like melodic synthesized music in the background. Like you could tell it's super low budget to begin with. The first couple seasons, that's the charm of it, though. It was never meant to be a show to make it at all. It was premiered on Friday on Fox, and Fox was nothing back in the day. Back in the early 90s, I think Fox was broadcasting at this point, 94, all 5 days. But I remember the first 4 years of Fox, they only broadcast like 3 days a week. Like they didn't have a show every day.
Yeah.
So it took them a long time to get to that.
Didn't they split time with UPN at one point, or was that
maybe? I can't.
Different. Maybe it's WB and UPN.
The early 90s are
it was weird,
very cloudy for me.
Very.
Well, I remember Melissa and I, like when we first started dating in high school. Okay, we would have our Fox night where we'd sit down, and the Fox was only on one night a week. And it was the Tracy Ullman Show and Married with Children and Duet. And later on was like Herman's Head. And so we'd just kick back and watch Fox. You know? And I think they had a couple more shows. I don't think it was just one night. I think it was a couple nights a week. But it was a weird network. But the cool thing about Fox is they took, like, all the networks were boring and stale. And they took chances. They were the first ones to like start like sexing up TV. Because TV was not sexy at all. Mm-hmm. And so that's where the whole like, oh, it's Fox, you know, like they were considered like, I don't know, the redheaded stepchildren of television, but they were the best. And that's why they, like, all these kids started liking it, you know, watching The Simpsons on Tracy Ullman, which is a trip. Seasons 1 through 6, definitely, with the X-Files, definitely. It's good. And a lot of standalones, and it's something you can kind of take your time to binge, like take a couple months to watch it, you know, and you'll enjoy it. Mad TV. Yes. Mad TV.
Good stuff. A great Fox show. Yeah. Fox. Love it.
Married with Children is my all-time favorite sitcom ever, though.
Oh, interesting.
I love that show. Al Bundy was the best. I hate sitcoms for the most part, but our X-Files recaps were doing way better than I thought they would. I just thought it would be just a passion project, like nobody would watch, you know, especially going in on a season 11, and their last season was 2 years ago. I could barely remember it. You know, I had to go back and rewatch some of it. But I thought this was going to be like a dead month for us, but it's picking up crazy.
Yes.
We got The Gifted ending.
2-hour finale, right?
Yeah. And then Dennis and I are going to take on The Alienist. If you guys haven't heard that, that's on I forgot what network it's on. AMC, maybe something like that.
Like that.
One of those. And that looks kind of taboo-ish a little bit, little Peaky Blinders. So I'm going to definitely check that out, like CSI Taboo. And what else do we got? We still got Happy. We got the X-Files. I still no word on when The Expanse is coming back. Ghost World. I wish I'd hear that.
April? Wait, hold on.
I think the word on the street, it's March or April.
What season is it going into?
It's going into season 3. They just wrapped in December, so it takes at least 3 months to do post on your early episodes.
It says it's confirmed. Oh, no. Sorry, that was season 2.
Yeah, I'm thinking end of March, early April. That's when Westworld is rumored to come back, is April. We should be getting a trailer like any day now, which I can't wait. Legion's coming back. And then Ash vs. Evil Dead, woo! In about a month and a week. Cannot wait for that. Cannot wait. I remember the Simpsons premiere too. It was just bizarre. We're like, there's this cartoon from the Tracy Ullman Show. What are you talking about? It was crazy popular just from the get go. Fox it was weird. Right? Everything. Just to think back. I mean, there's old man Gary here talking about when we had 3 channels of television. I had to manually change the, you know. Yeah, it was weird. It was weird.
Fox is a weird network because it takes a lot of chances and then cancels shit real quick. when it doesn't work. And so it's like, hey, here's all these risky things. Oh, we only got, half the viewers we thought we were going to get. Can it? It's like, no, give it a little time. Like, it's a risk for a reason. Like, it's not going to take off like right away, like all this other stuff. Like, give it a little time.
Yeah, the script supervisor's son worked at my comic shop.
Yeah,
Tom.
That's awesome.
For years. Yeah, she canceled Firefly.
Applecrow says we should break modern society into those people pre-Simpsons and post-Simpsons.
We should. That could be your generation marker right there.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how The Simpsons was like the first few seasons was like it was Bart's show, and then as it went on, it became Homer's show. It was interesting the way that it evolved in that way.
I haven't watched it in years. Is it
neither.
still good?
I haven't watched it in years either. I was never like, I liked it, but I was never one of those that like didn't miss an episode or anything like that.
That was one of the crappy things about getting older was I got less and less into cartoons. Like, even if they're for adults, I don't know. I got old. I was like, Adventure Brothers is a different story. I still watch the shit out of that. And Rick and Morty, like when I sit down and actually watch one, they're pretty funny.
I like Rebels a lot. I think Star Wars Rebels is fun. But yeah, it's not one that's made for adults. But I don't watch a lot of cartoons either. I still rewatch old cartoons. Like, I'll go back and watch old, like, X-Men, Batman, Justice League cartoons from when I was a kid.
Dude, Young Justice, when that comes out, I'll be watching that. I can't wait.
Yeah.
No, I still watch Batman Brave and the Bold.
That was good.
Such a good show, man.
Yeah.
People who don't watch the Venture Brothers are lost to me. Yeah, it's like a litmus test for being a human or being a friend of mine. You have to, like, I'll crack, if you understand, you got to understand Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy jokes. I'll crack one or two. If you get it, we can be friends. If you don't, then like, I'll still like you, but I don't know if we can totally be friends. And Venture Brothers, yeah, that's kind of a deal breaker. So yeah, I should have known that about my first wife. When she didn't like Hitchhiker, that was just a red flag. Whoosh, going way up.
That's awesome. Yeah, so Ghost World Part 2 of Season 4 of Rebels is officially announced. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to all those. It's Dennis and I tried talking about those on a podcast, but even though the show is really good with Rebels, it's hard to like dig into and talk about. Like, it's very face value what it is, even though it's like very good. And there are times when it's been like, there are things to dig into, like the holocrons and like what's going on with a lot of the mythology and like Sabine. And like, before we found out that Snoke, spoiler alert, is a random dude. There was speculation about if Snoke was going to be related to the Star Wars Rebels show. And like, there's a lot of that stuff, but like on an episode to episode, it was tough to like get more than a few minutes of podcasting out of it. So maybe we'll do some like season and like series reviews after it's all over, because I do think that that Rebels is some of the best Star Wars out there right now. Teen Titans was amazing.
Yeah, we did try to talk about it a couple times, and maybe if it's all three of us, well, no, we could try it. We can give it a shot. For one, they're 22 minutes long.
Yeah. So
there's not. We'd like to have some build up. Maybe we could just do a season or something.
Yeah, that's what I think is like. And I mean, the series is ending, it seems. So I think maybe we could just, as a series, talk about its impact on it and how it compares to the new Star Wars stuff that we're seeing in the movie theaters.
Did you watch the Golden Globes at all?
I watched a little bit. My wife was watching it, and so I saw a little bit of it.
What was I didn't watch any of it. Was it really a somber tone?
No, I actually think it was like I think that it was very, I mean, it was a progressive show, like I think it was good, but it's not like, that's where that stuff should be, is like on a podium at an award show. Like, yeah, talk about whatever you want on that podium, but like I don't love soapboxy stuff in my entertainment. That's just how I am. So I don't care what people say outside of it, but like, I want entertainment. Like, that's just period, full stop. So like, whatever you do, make it entertaining. It can be just going I agree with or don't, but like flat out. So no, I don't think it was a somber. I think that there was a lot of, I think it was, I think a certain person would be inspired by it, but not, I don't care about
not me.
shows.
No,
it's hard for me
I don't give a crap crap what people who pretend for a living think about policy, to be honest with you. No, I like to root for Guillermo del Toro, but no, I can't watch
Yeah,
the
he
war
won
shows anymore.
Best Director, right?
Yeah. No, I can't watch it. Just for one, like the movies they pick are terrible. And artistically they might be good, but this is
I
also
agree.
a marketing tool. You want to, like, if you want, like, nominate, I don't know, Logan. I think Logan is Best Picture in my opinion, but
It's almost like they go through the box office and they're like, "Hey, which movies made the worst amount of money this year? Okay, let's nominate those 4." It's like nobody saw them. Like,
and they're all the movies that came out like 2 or 3 months before the award shows, which is silly. So I can't watch them, just also because it's an elitist aspect, but
Ghost World asked, "Did you start the D&D games?" I was going to talk about this, but I'll just bring it up now. We're starting February 1st. I don't know if you're fans of Critical Role on Geek and Sundry, but that's kind of what we modeled our show after a bit. They just started their second season, which looks like it's going to be real fun. Their seasons run like 3 years, but their second season just started. It was really fun to watch. We're actually going to be airing our D&D stream before Critical Roles on Thursdays, essentially. So we're starting February 1st officially. We've done a bunch of test streams. I've shown Gary what it's all about because he's not a D&D guy. So he's been helping me a little bit with graphically, but I'm excited about it. It'll be every other Thursday, but we're going to have other role-playing games that we play after we do this launch on the in-between Thursdays. It was more of a scheduling thing with a couple of our players that we had to do it every other week. So that's where we're at. Keep an eye out. I'll be posting some stuff on Twitter of the test games, some little clips of the test games, and it'll be premiering soon.
Yeah, we'll have an embedded link in all of our videos once it starts airing and for the Twitch channel, and you'll be able to access it through nerdrotic.com as well. We'll have stuff on nerdrotic.com, and you'll be able to access all that stuff, and I'll be sharing it on my Twitter as well.
So we'll be recapping nerdy TV shows and movies, and we'll be playing nerdy games. That's what we like to do with our time.
Yes. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with my 2 weeks off. I mean, besides like fixing the house and all that stuff, but with this channel, I'm going to be very excited. I'm going to try to get a little creative,
talk about some more stuff.
Yeah, I was surprised Patty Jenkins was not nominated either, because I thought she did a great job. Third act aside, that was some of the better action I've seen in a superhero film in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And that World War I scene where she's running with the shield and the machine guns and stuff, that's classic. That, to me, that is a classic scene for me. Like, if you want to pick classic scenes from superhero movies, you got like Spider-Man's kiss to Mary Jane in the Raimi Spider-Man. You got Superman's first flight, when he's going to save Lois, from the helicopter, and Superman the movie, and Iron Man, his first flight out there to go kick some terrorist ass, and Wonder Woman beating up some Germans. Man, that's good stuff.
Yes. I thought the Avengers coming together in the Battle of New York was also really cool.
Yep, that pan shot where they're all
Yes, exactly. I really thought that was iconic as well. Yes, you're right. It fits in with all those. It frustrates me that like some of the best storytelling is happening in genre movies and television, and like the broad Hollywood press and producers, like, they don't get it. They don't get that that's the thing. They're hiring the guys, right? And they're reporting on it and they're reviewing the stuff well. But then when it comes to like putting them in the same class as like these kind of, like, we've seen it before, dramas that have, like, they just don't acknowledge it in that moment. And it's really frustrating. It's like you just have to not care at this point.
So many people are just mad that superheroes are a thing now. They're considered still a joke, and it's like, we're so far into this now, and you guys, like, if you're not taking it seriously, then you're just a grumpy old person. Okay. Yes. That's it. And it'll die someday, but not anytime soon. And it's taking over TV. Actually, it's blossoming in television. The storytelling's getting better. And then you're getting stuff like The Shape of Water, or Abe Sapien 66, like you said, and Legion, and they're trying something different with New Mutants. And Logan was different. And you're getting better storytelling because comic books have great freaking storytelling. And I always, the source material is always the best to me. I love comic books. And there's still so much really, really good stuff that they've only scratched the surface on what's really, really good. They could like go out, like I said before, make a We 3. That'd be a fun little movie.
That would be so much fun. Yeah. Oh yeah. Or Chew, right? Chew would be fun.
Chew, yeah, that keeps going back and forth. And I can't wait till we get so deep in, like when Marvel and DC like get desperate enough to start crossing over.
Yes.
God, that's going to be so beautiful when we do JLA Avengers and my favorite crossover. I have comics right below my desk right now. And this is my favorite. Can you say?
Oh, yeah. I love that one too.
Best crossover ever.
X-Men Teen Titans.
I know it's backwards in the camera, or maybe it's not to you. It is to me. Dude, this is the one I bought off the Coronet newsstand in Oceanside, California. Yeah. I paid, what did I pay? $2 for it. That was very expensive back then in 1982. I was just waiting for that. I had to count the days. And yeah, it's good stuff.
We just got a $2 super chat from Ghost World. Thank you very much. He said, here's to the laughs and here's to keeping the laughs and fun on a Friday. Thank you very, very much.
Hell yeah. Ghost World, thank you so much. God damn. That's awesome. You guys are great.
Before that, they were talking about the green lighting of the Black Widow movie, which you had slated to talk about.
Yeah, sorry.
It's so funny because Black Widow's the character I always give that as a character that I feel works so well in these movies, and she pops in and she's great in these teams, but like I don't know what her solo movie would be like. Just like so I've always thought that she fit best, just showing up, kicking ass in all these other movies. I don't know what to think about. Like, maybe it'll be like, how do you feel about Black Widow getting her own movie? Like, Scarlett Johansson's great as Black Widow. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. I think it could be great and it could be weird because, like, I don't know the story. What's the story there?
There's ton. Well, for one, this movie Scarlet that's coming out is basically the Black Widow origin story, so they can't do that. And you had Atomic Blonde. There's a million things you can do with Black Widow. Comedy? I heard that I didn't watch any of the videos. It popped up in some of my subscriptions that there's a possibility that this is going to be a comedy. No, that's the one thing you can't make. I would make Black Widow a freaking rated R movie. A rated R movie. Yes. You bring in some other Marvel superheroes, make her the absolute focus. She is a badass. I want for one to be shown the red that's on her ledger, all right, that she talked about in the Avengers. That's a big setup for, Joss Whedon gifted that to you. I would have originally have totally picked Joss Whedon to direct her movie. I think he would have been perfect for it, but no. I would get somebody else now. I'm
going to say right now, I don't think it matters. Like, just throw him in there. Who cares? Like, I don't know.
I would get somebody who's done like a Paul Greengrass or somebody who's done like a good thriller spy. Help me in the comment section. Who directed the Casino Royale? He directed Green Lantern too.
Ghostrel just said sort of like a Jason Bourne type agent about her getting robbed, assassin and going nuts. Yeah,
and then I amp it up since everybody's done it kind of a lot. I would amp it up to 11, like John Wick.
Crank it.
Yeah, like do it. And make it fun. You can make it fun and really roll. This is my worry with Disney is like, I don't know how well you're going to pull this off with a PG-13, and you got to sex it up a little bit. It's Black Widow. That's what she does, and yeah, have a lot of fun. Make it fun though. You can make it a really cranked up hard R fun movie. I think it'd be great. Martin Campbell. Thank you. Martin Campbell. Because I love Casino Royale. It's a great movie.
I wonder if they're going to keep like the Deadpool Fox rated R stuff aside, or if they're going to allow their Avengers characters to go that hardcore route. Like, I'm curious to see. They're probably not, but you're right. They probably should. Is it weird that this green light came after the Fox announcement? Like, is that are they looking at their Fox
that's a good point.
And
maybe
saying like, oh, now we can do this in that genre? Like, maybe that's what they're going to do. They're going to do the red in the ledger and they're going to go rated R. So I don't know, probably not, but it's fun to think about.
I think that's what everybody want. Yeah, I'm not, Black Widow is not the one like little girls and boys are going to go watch. Okay. That is like tailor made for your adult audience, and you can do a lot of fun stuff that you couldn't do in a Spider-Man. You know, yeah, she'd almost be better as on a good Netflix series, not like an Iron Fist, but more like a Punisher. I think she'd be really good with that. We don't need a bunch of exposition actiony stuff. I'd like to see kind of a spy thriller. Yeah, I think they could. There's a lot of stuff you can do with her. Actually, she's
Bring
an
Jessica
amazing
Jones
character.
in. Oh man, that'd be amazing. Like Jessica Jones
Ooh,
and Black Widow. Oh man, that would be awesome. I would love that.
Yeah. They're way too late on this one. It almost feels like the green light was reactionary. But maybe, Kevin Feige's probably just was waiting. I think, but I think after Avengers, she could have had her own solo movie. She was one of the better. I mean, everybody was good in the Avengers, but she was really good in the Avengers. When she could have just fallen to the background,
She was a highlight. It was Hulk and Black Widow that came out in the forefront of the Avengers movie for me. Was she was in Thor Ragnarok, right? No?
Yes. No. She just showed up on a screen.
Gotcha. Charles says Hollywood thinking equals what's best. Do the opposite.
Thank you. Yes, that's it. That's why we almost got to trick them. It's like, no, we really want a comedy, Black Widow, PG-13. Throw in some kids. Actually, give her a daughter and a baby. Have a baby and a daughter and a puppy. And
she drives a minivan. Text that out at Marvel. Like, say that this is what we really, really want, and maybe they'll go the opposite direction.
Think Bad Moms and Black Widow. Make that movie, and then they'll make the opposite. So there you go. There you go.
Oh god, that's so great. Yeah, she's a big part of the Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Jessica Drew, and Black Widow. Like, those could all, like, why don't they do that? Like, this is a perfect way to bring the Netflix series into the movies, or bring the movies into the Netflix series. Like, she's the perfect link, in my opinion, for like a Heroes for Hire Defenders type crossover with some of your Avengers characters. Like, she could be that street level Avenger or Hawkeye or both that you bring into that Daredevil world. I don't know. They need to do that, man. They have the ability. Like, why don't they cross this stuff over a little bit better? It's driving me crazy just thinking about it.
Well, bring in Hawkeye and show, like, because at first we thought they were romantically involved, but then we later find out they're just buds. So show like why they're best buds. Definitely bring him in. She was the link for a while. She was in Iron Man 2, then Avengers, then she was in Winter Soldier. And I thought she would play more of that role. Like you said, like she would just pop up in all the, she'd be you're right. She'd be a perfect link. I think you or Dennis mentioned this, that, we were all disappointed to find out that the Netflix heroes were not going to be in the cinematic universe. But I think once the Fox deal goes down and then Disney does their streaming thing, then I think it's all going to get meshed up and they can start moving around. There has been scuttlebutt that the Netflix characters might show up in the 4th Avengers movie. And a really good name for that movie was rumored. I don't think it's going to be, but I would love it, which is Secret Wars.
Secret Wars would be great.
That I think that'd be a great, especially if they're going to do it.
Yeah, like Secret Wars, like Battle World is how you bring in and retcon whatever you want to do with this Fox, Netflix, Hulu, Freeform mess that they've made. Like, I don't think it's a mess, actually. I think it's intentional and there's good things about it. But like, that's how you do whatever you want with connecting these characters. Whatever legal walls you need to break them down and get to a point where you can make this thing cohesive. And Secret Wars, that's brilliant. Like, do it. Like, please. They won't do it right if they do it. But they should do so much. Like, it's so crazy that you have this blueprint from comic books of how you do this. Like, here's where continuity matters. Here's where it doesn't. You can have an ongoing series with Wolverine, but also have him be an Avenger. People don't really care about that. Like, these are the things you can do. Like, look at how they've taken this universe and built it from scratch and connected it and not connected it, and like what the rules they did. Like, look at Marvel. They've done a really good job. it's hard to manage that unwieldy continuity. But Marvel, compared to a lot of other places that it's been done, has done it relatively well over the course of their lifetime.
Yeah.
And until recently, maybe, but like they've done it relatively well. Like use that as a model. Like if you're gonna greenlight 20 TV shows and however many movies over the course of the next like 4 years, like look at how they've done it in the past. Like just mirror it. Like it's not that hard. It's so annoying.
But you know, it is that hard because it's just egos. What stops us from getting it's what Charles said earlier. The reason they do this, sometimes they go opposite because just that's what the fans want. Somebody suggested it, so well, I'm not going to do that because that's what it's not my idea, and that's how we get a lot of this crap. And that's why the Netflix deal and all that crap is all two guys who don't like each other. At Disney. And there's a lot of that in Hollywood. There's so much of that. And this is why we can't have nice things.
Yes.
That's what it is. So if they bring in the Beyonder, I was racking my brain, like, who would I cast as the Beyonder?
The Beyonder.
Gary
Oldman is a good one.
Like John Travolta from the 70s. Not modern John Travolta. But I'm trying to think of like a tall guy with a bushy head of hair.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Michael Bay wanting to make the Turtles aliens. I know. God dang it. For just so you know, guys, for the D&D show that we're going to have, we actually have a turtle theme. There's some giant turtles in our show. So if you like Ninja Turtles or whatever, we've got a little bit of that. I got to give you tomorrow.
Well, don't worry about it. But yeah,
I worked hard on those.
Yeah, we'll use them when we have them.
We'll the dust off my drawing table.
Love turtles. Turtle love here.
Yes. My dog ate one.
Really?
Sure?
Like an actual turtle?
Our neighbor has turtles. Yeah, he had a little bit of turtle for lunch one day.
Shell?
You know what? They can travel pretty far, and I guess the neighbor didn't realize that. They were about this big, and one climbed a friggin' fence. And then Parker, my dog Parker. Okay. And yes, I named my dog Parker. So when I yell at her, it's like J. Jonah Jameson going, Parker. That's why I named my dog Parker.
Oh my God. That's amazing. Yeah. That is amazing.
Oh shit. I was on the fence before, but now turtles. Yeah. You don't want to be on the fence at my house. So if you're a turtle,
that's turtles on fences. It's brilliant.
My dog.
Oh God.
Poor turtle. It's circle of life. Where's my picture, Spider-Man? Yeah. Oh, Spider-Man. That's damn right. I am a Spider-Man fan. Big time Spider-Man fan. Gary, you have mentioned that you draw. Will you ever show us your artwork? Sure. I'll show it. Next podcast, I'll show you.
And you'll see a little bit on the D&D stream when we have there'll be a little bit of artwork featured of Gary's on there.
I sketched some turtles and stuff. Yes. I
but he's done better stuff. You can buy a horror show in Dark Legion out there, right? Like you've got
anymore.
Small press. Oh.
Not anymore. I've written and drawn some comics, so I'm going to be resurrecting that in the next year or so, and I'll show you guys once we get them going.
I'm trying to talk him into doing a horror show as a web serial and re-releasing it that way. We'll have to see if we can pull it off technically.
Let's see. Do I have one right down here? My wife did the cover, so this is my art. Here, let me the cover.
Yeah, it's fun. Horror show, semi-autobiographical comic. Pretty great.
So my wife drew this. So that is the cover of our book. And it's about a bunch of punk rockers in the 80s starting a Rocky Horror Picture Show at a local theater. And it's like homeless punk rockers trying to get together to lip sync a movie. It's kind of sad.
It's great. I think it's a really fun comic. I hope we can get it out there more.
My wife's way better artist than I am. She's a genius at that stuff. She kind of does one of those annoying people that does everything good.
Yes, she's good at everything.
And really humble about it too. No,
yeah. Sometimes.
Thank you, Viking bitch. I hate saying it. I'm gonna say Viking B. Because she seems so nice.
I know she does not. Yeah, it's got to be ironic, right?
Yeah, it is. Oh man. No, should the Rocky Horror Picture Show ever be remade? They did, and it was terrible.
There's no reason to remake it. It is what it like. Just I love what they've done with it is letting people use their artistic vision in like doing the screenings and the stage shows and stuff, but like keep it as it is, man. It is what it is.
Tim Curry, Richard O'Brien. It was. I saw, oh my God, 300 times. We started at the La Paloma in Encinitas. It's still running to this day, by the way. We started it in 88, and we did Friday, Saturday, and it was like the only thing we could be on time for. We were ditching school. We couldn't get our lives together. We were all getting kicked out of our house. We all lived at my friend's house in Encinitas. There was like 10 of us, wayward teens living in a house and just partying and forgetting high school. But we managed to every Friday, Saturday night, make it to Rocky Horror. That was like the one thing that kept us from, we all kind of went off the chain, but it was fun. It was good times.
For that period, it kept you on.
It was for that period. Yeah. And it was the La Paloma was like a 60-year-old theater that it used to be a silent film theater. So there's a stage and then there's a little dressing room under the stage. So yeah, we were like a theater group, except none of us were really acting. We were lip syncing. But yeah, I played, when you're cast director, you played Dr. Scott, because you had to organize people in the beginning and do the announcements. Then you just play your little Dr. Scott role at the end. So I played Dr. Scott. I was cast director and the announcer. Then I played Rocky for a long time. So I was out there in a little underwear and wore a lot of fishnets, and I played Eddie a little bit of Riff Raff. And then we had reverse sex night. So I was Janet a lot too. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh my God. What does this say? Oh, sure. I missed it from the beginning, but what did you guys think about James Franco allegations? Not surprised at all. There's so much more to come.
Yeah.
Again, we talked about this with Stan Lee. It's getting to the point though, and with all respect to women, okay, because like it's when something like that happens, there's a big difference between like smacking you on the butt and then I don't want to say it, I want to get demonetized, but the bad part of the sexual harassment. We'll just say.
Yeah, look, there's thresholds, right? Like
but you need to like report all of them now. Like yes. Now you just like you need to say something, and it sucks because even 5 years ago it probably wasn't safe. It's not safe in Hollywood now. You still could lose a job over it. So I don't. But after Weinstein, has there been piling on to? I think both are true. I mean, a lot of truth is coming out, and I think there's some piling on. And what sucks is the people who are piling on and lying are really screwing over the people who are telling the truth, because it always casts that little bit.
I don't even know there's like lying as much as there's like you can there's
stretching
like
the truth.
Yeah, you can like you can interpret something differently than the original intent, exactly. And then there's some stuff where you just can't. Like the intent is what it is. Like there's no misinterpretation there, and I just think that it's all being lumped in right now. Like there's got to be room for where there's room for interpretation. There's got to be room for both sides of a story, and where there's not, there shouldn't be. Right, and we just have to break those things apart.
And I tell you where it's bad. I mean, I didn't see a bunch in Hollywood, a little bit, but where it's horrible is in the comic book industry. Ooh, there's a lot of partying lately in San Diego. There didn't used to be, but now, like, actually one of the better things to do at Comic-Con is go to some of these parties, and they're open. They're not exclusive. You can go to any of them. There's one at the end called the Dead Enders, where all the creators and retailers go, and it's kind of a private one. That one's more it's like everybody's tired and they're just sitting around going, yeah, great con.
Yeah, totally.
But like all the other parties are pretty dope, and you can get in for free. But there's it's like just any night at the club. There's a lot of grabbing and alcohol and nastiness, and then some of it, like, people don't care. But I don't know exactly what James Franco got accused of. Wasn't it like the day after he won his award with the Golden Globes?
I think so, yeah.
But yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm sure he did something that wasn't worth getting your name dragged through the mud. But again, it's getting diluted now. It's getting diluted.
Yes,
Like,
that is
people,
another problem with it. Is that's why I also think there needs to be like different, but like the thresholds have to be different in different cases, because like we're starting to group in heinous things with less heinous, with bad things, and we need to be able to call everything out
that's
for what
true.
it is. It's just annoying,
That's
but
true, Charles.
it's great, and like it's tough. It's just such a hard. That's why I don't like talking about it, is because like
Yeah.
it's so hard to interpret this stuff.
It's a case by case thing,
yeah.
but Charles makes a great point. Like, I have not seen anybody. Stan Lee is, but that's how many guys are suing for defamation.
Yeah.
If it was me being accused of something I did not do, whatever it was, I would be on it. I'd be
Right. That's
clearing
why
my
it's
freaking
like
name,
you can
clearing
believe
my
all
name, no
this.
matter what.
Yes.
I don't care if it takes every damn penny I have. I'm clearing my name.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. And a lot of guys, like Louis C.K. was a scumbag, but got to give him credit, man. He came out and like, yep, I did it.
I think
Sorry.
James Franco's. I think that it has to do with like underage stuff, and he's just like, not like severely underage, like
a little,
like 17 and a half, and the guy's like 25. So I don't think
17. You are 20.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I got it. Okay. Well, you just got to be careful with that stuff. You got to be careful.
Overall, it's a good thing for us, but we will experience growing pains. Yes, I think that a lot of good will come of a lot of this stuff. Hopefully, I hope that we will.
I think so too. Yeah, it's already changed. Like, the casting couch is done, thankfully, in Hollywood, and it's long overdue. And I have a lot of sympathy. And most of my sympathy goes out to the women who had to put up with this shit, and then putting up with the shit like, why didn't you say something sooner?
It's like,
you know what?
I had a job to do. Like, I had to make money. I had to put money into my
again, that's a case by case thing. In some instances, maybe somebody should have spoke up. In some instances, maybe they were scared. Like Harvey Weinstein is a legit scary dude. I don't think he's just a producer. I mean, he looks like mafioso.
When you find out he had like spies in the like police departments and stuff, like that's freaky.
No, he had somebody on staff at every major newspaper, which tells you all about like reviews and crap like that you're getting. Don't think for a minute Disney doesn't have that either. So he's a legit scary dude. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at all we find out like he made somebody disappear. Again, that's purely my speculation.
Right, that's a lot of speculation.
Yeah, that's way out there. But Vegas, there's a lot of guys in Vegas who are running things who are not the cleanest people in the world. So, or in areas of government. But it's crappy. But it is necessary. Hopefully it does its job and it ends soon, and we can get back to entertainment and people feeling respected and safe in their workplaces and stuff. I just hope nobody comes to where I work, and it's not that it's sexual harassment. It's just there's a lot of salty conversation and it's just because it's just a bunch of dudes working together and salt of the earth kind of stuff, not for long though. Not for long. I can't say where, but the reason I shaved my beard, I was regretting it a little bit. I was like, man, I shaved my beard for nothing, but it turns out I didn't. So that's good.
You'll be able to tell more when it's
in a couple of days.
Okay, cool. So anything else on the docket for this evening?
What's the model from Bill and Ted's? I'm blanking on it now. I was gonna say Stallion. Wait, okay, now I gotta look.
Excellent. Party time.
No, I was gonna Wild Stallions. Oh my god, yeah, that's a long time ago, man. Sorry. It got late. So oh my god, I just lost where I was. Hello. Hi everybody. How are you doing? Live podcast. Live.
Yeah. I don't want to look. It's in the comments. I don't want to talk about sexual predators anymore in this one. Putting my foot down.
Yeah, no. It's sexual predators are bad.
Yes, that's my stance, and it will always be my stance.
Yeah, it sucks. we try to keep it a little light here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay to talk about and bring up in the chat. It's totally cool. I totally
Yeah.
understand if you guys want to talk about it, and it's cool, and we can get into it more. I just I don't know.
Yeah.
I worry about my YouTube channel. My little YouTube channel. We've worked hard on this. But yeah, you guys, hey, I'm all about the free speech. Say what you want in the chat. It's cool, especially since it disappears.
Yes.
I mean, anything short of, no attack, normal stuff. If anybody, you know what? We've had such good chatters. I've only had to block like one person since we started.
We haven't had to do a lot of like monitoring, and like we'll only block for like hate speech and horrible, like you can criticize or whatever, but we just there's a line that if you cross, we will block that or censor that, chat.
Like Ghost World says, it's a fun place to be. We try to
be a fun place to be. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to bring up in this one, or should we?
I'm laughing, Apple Crow. Yes. No, I got to work tomorrow. Usually we can go 5 hours, but we don't have a third person in here because Dennis bailed on us because he had to move.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, that's right. Be awesome to each other. Thank you, Viking B. I failed tonight. I apologize. I should be fired.
I do want to throw out a big thank you to you guys who support us with Super Chat tonight. Those were our first ones ever, which is awesome. So thank you. If you want to also support us over at Patreon, go ahead and head over to patreon.com. Pledge us. The tiers are explained there. So there's some grab bag stuff. There's some perks. And then we'll also have some exclusive content coming throughout the year. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at John Reed 16. Gary is at Nerdrotics. And we've got the Facebook and everything that'll all be in the show notes, so check all that out. You can like us on Facebook and continue discussions over there. Feel free to comment on the video once the live chat goes away and you want to have your comments memorialized on our YouTube channel, so that'll stay there. Subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. Head over to nerdrotic.com for any of all of our comprehensive content. You can see it over there, and and our schedule is posted there. So if you want to see what we have upcoming, we'll tweak it throughout the week. So it's a generalized schedule. And for any ongoing shows, those are the times we're doing stuff. But we may add new shows that we decide maybe is in our wheelhouse after we watch the episode or when we see the initial press. So, take some of those new show things with a grain of salt.
Yeah, we'll be back on Sunday with Star Trek Discovery. You probably already said that, but Dennis and I are keeping the option open to do another live because he likes doing these. So if he's available, we might do another one Sunday during the day. Also, we have European viewers, and that's a little earlier for them too, which is cool. And it's earlier for us, and then we can just roll right into Star Trek. And then Monday, there's the Gifted Finale, Happy X-Files Wednesday, and I'm going to be doing a bunch of extra stuff the next 2 weeks. I'll throw that up on the schedule and on my Twitter. Isaiah, you have a great night too. And Ghost World, Viking B, Arturo, Charles,
Apple Crow,
Comics Division. I'm sorry I missed you there, buddy. What's up, Comics Division? Hey, where are your guys' live stream? Been missing that. Comics Division does live streams with I Love Comics. Definitely check out Comics Division. He has a really cool channel. He reviews comic books, and I like him a lot. He has good taste in music. And we'll go back. Ghost World, thank you for the super chat, like John said.
Ray Deathray, thank you for joining us.
Apple Crow.
Yep.
If we missed anybody, I'm sorry. You guys, I love doing this. I really do. This is so much fun. Hey, what's up, CD?
North Barbecue, you're awesome in the chat. Thank you everyone who's comes and chats with us on these Fridays. It's really fun.
You, Ray Deathray. Yeah, I figure you guys are busy. Before we do our live stream, I watch theirs, and they usually do one on the weekend. But hopefully, you guys will pick it back up because I'm missing you guys on Friday and Saturday night. That's what I do. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Anything else, John?
No, I'm good.
I'll take us out, guys.
Take us out.
Ladies and gentlemen, good night. May the small folks sing songs of your greatness.
Awesome. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.